Yeah.
All right, here we go. What's up, golf addicts? David Barnett here of the Tour Junkies. This is Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings. It's amazing they still let us do this show. We are lit.
It is
right
amazing.
Now. Yeah, we just got done recording our podcast. It was quite the interesting podcast. You need to go check it out if you've not already listened to our podcast. It's amazing. But we just had a lot of disagreement. And there's Pat. He has changed his wardrobe. There is a Patrick Reed Captain America shirt. He just won the WGC Mexico. He is now third in the Ryder Cup standings. Looks like he will be representing the USA in the Ryder Cup yet again. Tiger God smiling down on top of him in that T-shirt. You can get one of those at a very cheap price on tourjunkies.com. We have
basically
hundreds of them. And we'll actually give them to you if you do the right thing. We'll probably just send you one. We need to get rid of them. Pat also has a man can because he railed on canned wine a couple of weeks ago. Pat, you've just opened up a can of what? What is that? That looks like
this is a can of rosé. No free ads.
Canned rosé.
Canned rosé.
Give us a taste test here. First time ever having it. How's it smell?
There's a hint of fruitiness, a hint of pineapple, maybe.
Pineapple.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not used to drinking wine out of a can, so it might have spilled all down myself.
All down myself. How does it taste?
Let's just get through the show.
Okay. All right, we are here to break down a little bit of the Honda Classic for the PGA Tour. And we got a couple of picks that were mentioned on the podcast we just recorded that we may disagree with or we may not really see eye to eye on. So we're going to talk through those, and we're also going to end the show, if we make it through the end, with our DraftKings Sportsbook picks, which have been pretty good lately.
Pretty. So, you're watching some you're watching some Curb Your Enthusiasm lately, aren't you?
I'm not.
Okay, because you've used that line pretty good. That's the Curb Your Enthusiasm line, which they've got new episodes out, and I'm surprised that's
okay. Lots of free ads on this show. Hope DraftKings okay with that. Pat, why don't you, if you're possible, if you're able, tell us about the golf course PGA National, which is our host venue for the Honda Classic.
Yeah, well, let me start with another sip of the canned rosé. Okay, all right. Anyway, yes, we are at PGA National this week. This is the Champions course. It is always one of the most difficult courses on tour. It plays every year. It's a difficult course. It is a par 70, 7,140 yards. We got a full field event this week. Top 60 field. Top 65 and ties will make the cut this week. We have Bermuda greens. Back on Bermuda after all the POA greens we've had lately. I love it. Rough is typically pretty penal out here, but here's the deal. This course, you got to keep it in the fairway, but only because there's water everywhere. 15 of the 18 holes out here, water is in play. So you have got to avoid the big numbers. And that's one of the stats I'm looking at is bogey avoidance this week. I think you just cannot have those, those doubles, triples, bogeys, whatever else. You've got to keep it in the fairway, and you've got to just don't screw up. Don't screw up this week. Don't like hit it in the water and crap like that. That's a big deal. Anyway,
cutting edge analysis.
Yeah, cutting edge. Yeah, and we've got the bear trap this week, so we're getting into the nicknames of all these these holes out there. But the bear trap does play as one of the most difficult 3-hole stretches.
Do you have any holes with nicknames, Pat?
No, I don't. Do you have holes with nicknames?
No, I think Man Can isn't a bad one though. Man Can.
Yeah, but 15 through 17, they play as one of the most difficult holes on tour all year long. I mean, again, this course is extremely difficult. You want guys who are experienced, guys who are not going to throw out some big numbers, guys that are hitting fairways, they're hitting greens in regulation. I think that's important as well. Scrambling also, if you're not hitting the greens, you've got to be good in that scrambling category. So I think that's important. Looking at your past champions, we had Keith Mitchell last year, who you were on. We had Justin Thomas in 2018, Ricky Fowler in 2017, who I know we both mentioned as plays that we really loved as GPP tournament plays on DraftKings this week. We like some Ricky Fowler. Adam Scott in 2016 and Padraig Harrington in 2015. I will note, with that win, actually was in a playoff against Daniel Berger, who you and I are big fans of this week and have been all year long. So there you go. That's the quick course breakdown. The canned course breakdown, you might want to say.
The canned course breakdown. I like that. That's catchy. It's got a ring to it. Yeah, PGA National, like I said, tough course, tough golf course. To me, it's all about the wind. The wind will blow here at PGA National. Right now, it looks to be a mild year, which by mild, I mean like anywhere from
still 10 to 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, 10 to 15 miles an hour, which is more than what a lot of these guys see. So you got to strike your ball. You got to control your distance, which inevitably in conditions like that, you mentioned it, you are going to miss screens. You're going to have to get up and down. You're going to have to scramble. And then you're going to have to make putts on these Bermuda greens, which is something I looked at as well. I agree with you on the bogey avoidance stat. I looked at that as well with 15 holes of water in play, a ton of bunkers out here. Your cut line is going to be between +1, +3. So avoiding bogeys, I do think, is important. And then just greens and regulation, scrambling, stroke gain around the green, and Bermuda putting. Yeah, let's get into a little disagreement we had here. This first name that I want to bring up here, Pat, is a name that I just in my gut, it doesn't feel right. I know he's been playing well. I know he's a Florida boy, but in my gut, at the price and what I think his ownership is going to be, I don't think that Billy Horschel is a play that I'm going to have a lot of in DFS at $9,200. Now, he was around 10% owned on average at the WGC. Not anything great, but he did finish 9th, so good for him. He also finished 9th at the Waste Management before that. Billy Ho is definitely, last 2 events, 2 top 10s, not bad. But I have a weird feeling about Billy Ho, if you will. His history here is like hit or miss. He's like 16th miscut, 4th, 8th miscut in the last 5 years. So he's kind of hit or miss, which may be a great tournament play, but at $9,200, and I think the ownership on Billy Ho is going to creep to around 15% in GPPs. And I think that's very realistic. I think that's maybe even on the low side. I think people are going to play more balanced lineups this week. They're going to avoid the top 2 guys at $11K. They're going to play more balanced. Billy Ho was already 10% at the WGC. He gets another top 10 finish. Now he comes to a course he's got a decent record on at $9,200. I think people are going to play him. But I just got to feel it. Like I know I try to back it up with more stats and more stuff, but I just don't have a good feeling about Billy Ho. But you like him. Sell me on Billy Ho. Help calm the nausea in my gut for Billy Ho right now.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is the perfect course for Billy Ho. And when you're seeing him coming off a good form, like we saw him at the WGC Mexico. He finished well on Sunday. Now, he could have actually been better. He could have literally been right in the mix if he had just done a little bit more on those last few holes. But I like him on this course. And, we know he's a Florida guy. Obviously, he's a Gator. We're not big fans of Florida Gators, but that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. But this is a great course for him. He's a guy he's a grinder. He doesn't let a lot of things get to him. I think out there, he's not gonna, he's just not gonna have those huge scores out there. I think this is a good event for him, and I like his recent form. He's checking the box in driving accuracy, which I do think is important. Look, I think bombers always have an advantage. But on a course like this, where there's water everywhere off the tee and on your approach shots, you've got to just keep everything in check. And he does that off the tee. He is 10th in the field in driving accuracy. He's 9th in the field in the field. He is 9th in the field in par 4 scoring, which I think is important whenever you look at a par 70 course. So I think Billy Ho is a good choice this week. Now, ownership will be key. That's where I'm wondering what you're looking at. Like I'm picking up what you're putting down as far as the ownership is concerned, and it could be a little bit high, but I don't know. I think he's a great pick this week. I like the price at 9,200, so I'm all in on Billy Horschel. Now I will tell you this. Where I'm not all in on is Justin Rose, who you liked on the podcast.
Ooh.
Justin Rose, who is not in great form, who hasn't done anything lately. I mean, nothing. Hasn't played this tournament, by the way, in, 5 years? Last time he played it was 2015 and he missed the cut. I'm bringing Justin Rose up only for the reason that I kind of want to play him. He's entering my heart. He's entering my heart as a guy that I want to play and I want to feel good about, but I just can't because his form is terrible. He's not checking any boxes for me. And I need you to tell me how Justin Rose can do well for me and just enter my heart and be a comfortable play.
All right. Well, I think first of all, the thing with Rosie is value and win equity, which I think he has, despite some form that's a little suspect. But looking above at Gary Woodland, for example, who's priced $400 more than him on DraftKings.
Who I like this week, by the way.
Rose beats him in strokes gained putting on Bermuda over the last 100 rounds. He beats him in strokes gained around the green. He beats him and that's over the last 24 rounds. And, the ball striking, the bogey avoidance is basically right the same. Like they're very close within each other. Okay. But Rose, you get at $400 less. I think the win equity and the value is there with Rose. Historically, if you look at adjusted strokes gained at this golf course, Rose has played 20 rounds. He is 4th in this field in adjusted strokes gained over his history here at PGA National.
His history at here. PGA
so I think it's good. Do I love the 56 at the Genesis, the miscut of the Farmers? No. But before that, the form was fine. I feel like you're going to get some value with Rosie. I feel like you're going to get him at possibly even sub 10%, maybe ownership here. I like the historical bogey avoidance number with Rosie. If you look at Justin Rose,
do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think if you're looking at like a DraftKings tournament lineup, do you start right there with Justin Rose? Like, do you think that's a good play?
I think you could. I also like Ricky Fowler a little bit above him, but I think you could start with Rose. We know this about PGA National. Every year, PGA National, you get like a handful of studs that just trunk slam on Friday. So I don't know. Like, I just feel like he's 19th in this field in bogeys and bogey avoidance over the last 100 rounds. He's always been a difficult course player. He thrives in difficult course conditions. The last two courses, the Waste Management, the Farmers are not difficult courses, right? Like he's not going to be as valuable in a birdie fest as he is at an Open Championship, a U.S. Open, a Masters. And this is one of the tougher golf courses on tour. You mentioned it in your breakdown. I think this is just a good spot to jump on him. He's going to do better here. He's going to avoid the big numbers. When you don't have anybody running away with it here at minus 17, I think Rosie's in play. So there you go.
I like it. Okay. You may have sold me on him.
Talk to me about why you're not a fan of Joaquin Neiman at $8,700. Good ball striker, good tee to green player. We saw him win on the PGA Tour. He's got the sexiest stinger, that I've seen in a long time.
He does have a good stinger, but here's
a great stinger on him.
Here's the deal with Neiman.
Hits it under the wind. The wind conditions.
Regardless of the stinger that you just saw and whatever else, he's totally underwhelmed this year. I mean, everybody's been high on him. We've talked him up. I know I have. I mean, you look at the last time he played here, though, he was T59, so nothing great there. You look at recent results. I mean, he hasn't
They're not
done.
Great. The recent results aren't great since the win. They're not.
No,
great
he missed a cut at the Genesis. He was T49 at the Farmers on another difficult course, which I think that's a point to be made here. Is these courses are all they're all different, and there's courses where you can score extremely well on, and there's courses that are also very difficult, and you've got to have a totally different game. And I like guys who typically play well on just a difficult course here at this event. I don't want a guy that's necessarily shooting a 61, in an event. I mean, I want a guy that's more steady, that's got, less variability when it comes to where he's going to score. And so I'm not feeling some Neiman. Now I think he's definitely going to be higher end than he should be, because everybody's always on Neiman. Yeah. Everybody's always on Neiman.
People like to play Neiman for sure. I don't know that he's going to be – because we haven't seen him in a while, I don't think he's necessarily going to be super chalky. We haven't seen him since, I guess missed the cut of the Genesis. That's going to throw people off. I don't know that he gets too much above 10 to 12%. I don't think he's going to be super chalk.
No, and he typically has always checked boxes. But if you look at it, as we've gone throughout this year – he is steadily getting out of the range of what we've been looking at. I mean, he's been a great ball striker, which he's 8th in the field in ball striking, but he's also been a good scrambler recently. But now he's 64th. He's been good at driving accuracy. He's 67th now. I mean, I just think his stats are he's not improving. He's going backwards, and so I'm not a big fan of Neiman this week. Just not a fan.
He's just a guy that I know plays well in the wind. I mean, and even if you look at Honda last year where he finished 59th, but he gained strokes. He gained 4.8 strokes tee to green last year at the Honda. He lost 4 on the putting surfaces, which, putting is definitely his worst thing.
He's also, by the way, 81st in this field in bogey avoidance. So he's going to be that guy that's going to – literally, we talked about this on the podcast. He is going to be the guy that you're going to be like, all right, okay – watching Shot Tracker, shot 1 in the water, drop, shot 2 in the water, drop, hit the green, make the putt, and he makes a double. That's what he's going to be the most frustrating player this week on Shot Tracker. I will guarantee you that.
All right. Let's talk about some DK Sportsbook. Who are some DK Sportsbook? You gave us Nick Taylor a couple weeks ago at 80-1. I think the people need to hear from you first while you're still on the heater. Who you like in terms of DraftKings Sportsbook?
I got several plays here, and they're all going to be to win bets. They are not going to be top 10 and everything else because.
Yeah, all mine are all winner bets too.
Sorry, DK. Sorry, DK. I just don't like any of those bets. I don't like the value there, so it's just not going to happen. But I'm going to start in my I guess my shortest odd guy that I like, and that's Daniel Berger at 35-1. I think that is a great play this week. 35-1, that's a good number. I think that's great. So I'm going to go there. Also like Bud Cauley at 60-1. I think that is a great play as well. And then I'm going to go Maverick McNeely at 100-1. He's been playing extremely well lately. Coming off the Korn Ferry Tour is very good. So also like I'll go shorter. Let me go back again. Go shorter than Maverick McNeely. I like Harris English at 70-1. Actually, I got a bonus play for you. Ben On at 40-1.
A bonus play.
Ben On at 40-1, and then Scott Stallings at 175-1.
You, sir, are hammered. That Man-Can Rosé is really doing a number.
It's really doing a number. You're right. It's doing a number. I can't even talk.
Yeah, we noticed. I'm not okay. I like the burger play. I have some burger. Here's what I'll say. Keith Mitchell won here. I was all over him last year. Had him on the winning ticket at 150-1. Keith Mitchell won here at 150-1. You look back at past winners. You got Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, Adam Scott, obviously short odds guys. The year JT won, he was in a playoff with Luke List, who was a triple digit. The year that Padre Harrington won, he was a longer shot. And then, like Pat mentioned in the beginning, lost to Daniel Berger, who was a rookie on tour. I do think long shots can pop here. I like Corey Connors at 70-1. Nobody hits their irons better and more consistently than Corey Connors, and I like him in the wind here as well. I like Lee Westwood at 85-1. If you look at adjusted strokes gained historically at PGA National, the number one player in this field in adjusted strokes gained at this golf course, Lee Westwood, 85-1, coming off a T22 or something at the Mexico last week. Not bad. We haven't talked about him. We didn't talk about him on the podcast. We didn't talk about him tonight. The defending champion, Keith Mitchell, is 110-1. Now, I typically don't love defending champions, especially guys that are young. This is their first time defending. But here's Mitchell back on a surface that he enjoys, which is Bermuda, back in a part of the country he enjoys. He's coming off of 2 solid finishes, and 110-1 just seems like a big number. And honestly, if you've got the ability to bet on DraftKings Sportsbook, I would take advantage of that number. It's a lot smaller than that in other sportsbooks around the country.
Maybe you throw that out there, but I think I read somewhere where nobody has ever even come close to winning back-to-back. Yeah.
I mean, 110-1, you put a little half unit on there. Just a guy that you mentioned on the podcast that you liked is my last one, is Taylor Gooch. The Gooch is loose, baby, at 100-1. Gooch can score. If Keith Mitchell can win this thing last year, Taylor Gooch can win it. So I think he's interesting at 100-1. So there you go. There's my sportsbook bets of the week. Hope you guys have a fantastic week. May your screens be green. Enjoy the Honda. It's a fun course. It's a challenging course. Even though the field isn't great, a lot of the big names skipping, it is a fun course to watch. It's a challenge for these boys, which is always good. We'll be back next week, maybe, if DK doesn't fire us. All right. See ya.